it kind of causes a reaction. The cut coagulates, it seals up quicker. If you've got them high eyebrows, you
Think
want
I've
your
got it.
modelling contract back.
No?
Blue steel all over that is.
Magnum. So you see at the start of a fight where, a Cutsman or a trainer would put a lot of Vaseline on the face. Why is that? And what's the best thing to do as, a trainer to prevent cuts, if possible?
Well, a lot of the prevention is knowing your opponent. If you've got someone who's reckless with a head, steer clear. It's getting your lads kind of knowledgeable about where to put the head. When the amateurs first took the head guards off, they was all getting cut to ribbons.
Yeah.
And there was all complaining, but I was going, it's because they're used to having a big cushion, so they're throwing their head in the wrong way.
Uh-huh.
And I says in 12 months it'll stop, and it has, because when they had a head guard on, they're throwing their heads in, smacking them together, and getting cut to ribbons. Uh-huh. Now they know that you can't do that, so it's about putting your head in the right place. It's about not being reckless. And the thing with putting the grease on first when they're starting, you got to remember, even though they've warmed up, the skin's still going to be a little bit dry before they've gone out there. You want it as pliable as possible. So the first jab, don't suddenly just pull open the skin, or the first little head clash. It might give you that 10% extra that it'll glance off rather than cut it. And it's also a psychological thing. The boxer puts his Vaseline on. It's like his war paint.
Yeah.
It's like it says, right, we're fighting now. Let's go. It's like part of their armour. It's part of the ritual. So you put it on, the boxer knows he's ready to go, you know what I mean?
And you see, of course, in a corner when someone, let's say mid-fight, they've got a really big welt, a big mouse, whatever it might be on the face, swelling. And you see, pulling out these, to people, uneducated people like iron-like devices. What are you doing there, and how does it help with swelling?
Well, basically, it doesn't help the swelling. It literally stops it for a short while. Like I say, as soon as that boxer's finished that fight, that swelling's coming up. You're not stopping the swelling. You're not curing it. What you're doing is you're holding it at bay so he can win the fight. So you're basically just ironing it away. It's going to come back, and it's going to come back. And each round, it's going to get a little bit worse. But if you can hold it bay for 6 rounds, 4 rounds, 10 rounds, and they can see, you're winning. As soon as you stop doing it and the doctor looks in, that eye's shutting. So you're not curing it. You're just holding it at bay. You're just enabling that fighter to have another 3 minutes. And then you do the same again the next round. You kind of just push it away. You push it away from where it's going to block the vision, because gravity takes over. And that's why swelling above the eye will drop down. Swelling below the eye, eventually it will push up, but you've got more chance of keeping it under control. It's just knowing what you're doing and getting in there and staying calm and keeping the boxer calm.
I mean, the amount of times, and I'm sure people wouldn't have realised this, but when you see on social media a fighter who's been in a fight at the end of the fight, and then the next day, the guy's eyes are okay. The next day, they're closed.
But that's what you're holding back.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that happened during the fight, he'd be beat. So that's what you're holding back at that stage. But yeah, and people who ain't even got a bruise on them at the end of the fight, you see them the next day, and you're like, did you have a fight afterwards in the crowd or something? It comes out, but you're never stopping the swelling. It's underneath the skin.
Absolutely. Now, actual cut itself. So let's just chuck one out there. Tyson Fury, Otto Wallin. Fury had a couple of really bad cuts on his eye. What kind, without giving too much away, with you doing your courses and things, but what kind of process and what kind of legal products can you use
in the
to
corner,
prevent that?
You can use Vaseline. You can use water. You can use your towel and water to clean it. You can use swabs. You can use a little bit of gauze if it's tricky and you can't get to it, if the swab's a little bit too. And you can use adrenaline 1001. That's all you can use. Now, say you see the cuts, the first thing you do, unless you're right at the end of the round, you observe. You try and get as much info about that cut as you can. If it's a long cut, you've got a swab for a long cut. If it's a wide cut, you've got a swab for that. If there's 2 cuts, or if it's like a jagged kind of cross cut, you get 2 swabs out. The first thing you do is you put your swab into your adrenaline. You leave it there as long as possible, soaking in it. You've already got the grease on your hand or your wrist, stuff like that. You get a towel in your hand. You wait for the bell to go, but sometimes you relax and it takes you 5 seconds to get in the ring, 10 seconds even. when someone's got a cut, you're in that ring as quick as possible. You go in, you clean it with the towel, and then you have another observation, but obviously closer up now. You're not trying to judge it from 10 foot away. You literally got a couple of seconds of observation. You can't be staring at it for like 20 minutes like a doctor would, because you've got 60 seconds. So you clean it, maybe a bit of water if it's needed, but usually the towel does the job. You observe it, you look at it. Hopefully you've got the right kind of swab that you need. You put the swab in, not too far in, to where the wound is. Then you clamp the wound shut around the swab with the adrenaline on and apply pressure. While you're applying the pressure, usually be doing it left-handed if you're right-handed like me, because while you're doing that, you will take the right hand and do the rest of the face, because there's still that job got to be done. But you're holding the pressure all the time, so you take the grease off, you're doing the other eyes, you do the nose, anywhere else. Hopefully you got someone giving him water, someone with the ice, and you're talking to him to keep him calm. If you're the Cutsman, you're not talking. But if you're the coach doing both, you're talking to him. If you're the Cutsman, you're just concentrating on that cut. Then when you hear last 10, very calmly and slowly, so you don't line the box, you take it away and you seal it. Some people like to dab, which works with certain kinds of cuts. Some people like to seal it. Dominic Ingle does it like a surgeon. Jamie Sheldon looks like a doctor when he's doing it. He's like unbelievable. But you just seal it. You try and do it so as the bell rings for the last round, you're just sealing it so you've used every one of them 60 seconds. And that's basically it. Staying calm and following your own rules. And then again, if you're the coach, you're watching the fight and the cut. If you're just a dedicated Cutsman, your whole round is spent watching the cut, picking up information, getting the swab ready that you want. If it changes, you've already got one in there. But if it changes, if it gets wider or deeper, you might put a different swab in. And then you just do it again 3 times. That's it.
So you mentioned adrenaline there, of being a legal product you can use. How does that help?
I don't know the actual medical term of it, but basically it kind of causes a reaction that the cut coagulates, it seals up quicker. So, I think adrenaline, that's what it does in the body, So it doesn't usually work on the first round you use it. The second round, then it starts to kick in. But yeah, it just causes the cut to seal.
So you see some fighters, Chris Jenkins, Ricky Hatton, Henry Cooper, some of those who are just prone to cuts. Does the skeletal structure of the face cause
some people
that?
Some people have got high cheekbones like a model, or eyebrows like very high, very shapely. You want someone with a flat face, someone with a face like mine, to be honest, someone with a face like yours, without being horrible, Dan. I bet you didn't get cut very often because you look like you've got quite broad, flattish features like me, so you wouldn't.
To be honest, no. I've got like these big eyebrows, like these weird, like I could put a beer on me.
Then what you're saying
on
is
me
you
head.
want your modelling contract back. If you've got them high eyebrows, you want your modelling contract back.
No.
Blue steel all over that is.
Magnum. What a lad. So as far as kind of, you and going forward, you said you were talking about hands and you were also get asked how to correctly wrap hands. I'm not going to ask the whole process here, but give maybe 1 tip or 2 tips to people for wrapping hands.
Don't make the padding too big on the front. You get new coaches or even some old coaches making a huge pad on the front, yeah? And while that looks good, the safety's all in the structure. When you make a huge pad on the front, what you got to think, Dan, if somebody come up to you with a pair of 12-ounce gloves with huge padding on the front, you would tell them to get the fuck out of there and stop trying to cheat you. So why would you do the same thing for them with your own hand wraps? Why would you make a huge pad when you wouldn't let anyone give you a glove that was shaped like that? So make the hand wraps nice and solid and safe, but you don't want this huge pad on the front that a lot of people favour. I'm not a fan.